I'm so excited today because probably after ages, I'm in the company of wonderful women, an all women's panel. It's very rare. And that's the first thing I noticed. And I think it's an absolute privilege to be addressing all of you. Uh, at Mahi, I've seen the wonderful work that you all are doing. And now, Ananta, you're spearheading the whole uh, you know the entire journey, and I'm really really proud to be associated with this organization. Yeah, and with all of you. I see some familiar names. I saw Chitra, I see Simran. Hi. I mean, so these are all my colleagues from DLF time. Simran, I think, was later. But yeah, and as Tara ma'am says, I mean, you've given a very long list of, my whatever I've done or what I do. But I don't think I think if I start talking about all that, we'll be not talking much about ergonomics, which itself is such a vast topic. And thank you so much for choosing this topic because it's something very close to my heart. And it's always the small things that give you big results. And ergonomics, you'll realize, I mean, you may have, I think the closest to ergonomics that one would have been is to order an ergonomics chair or a workstation or something. I mean, you hear this word being thrown around everywhere nowadays, but we'll get a little bit to the bottom of it and why it's important and what are the challenges. Like, if we don't give it much thought, then where can it lead us and what kind of trouble? Like Ananta, I mean, she's very briefly told you about her condition. Yes, it was due to, I would say, muscle imbalance, and she's back. So those of you who've seen her through that phase would know what I'm talking about. But yes, we don't really need to go under the knife to fix ourselves. So I'll be talking about this, but I would like it to be interactive, guys. I mean, since all of you have your, videos off, so I encourage you to please use the chat box if possible. I welcome a lot of questions. Any questions like, ergonomics itself is a vast topic, but beyond that, we can always talk later. You can connect with me through Ananta, or Reena can connect, and I'm also part of the group. For any health related challenge, I mean, I'm always there to help you, so don't worry. Yeah, I'm always there. So without wasting much time, let me, talk a little bit. I mean, Tara ma'am, I really, the reason why I wear so many hats is also probably because I'm a lifetime learner too. And, I know I could completely relate with what you were saying, and different things. It's a vast panorama of stuff that I've been interested in. So let's start with this. So, ladies, do use the chat box. Let me first define very, very briefly, because you'll hear all kinds of definitions about ergonomics, what it is, etc. So, to a layman, I would say it's the relationship between people and their working environment. That is what it means in a nutshell. You can have very fancy definitions, but basically, all of you are working. So it's the relationship between you and your space. Yeah. And you'll see there are various aspects, especially with the equipment that you're using. So equipment could be your furniture, your laptops, or your whatever else you're using, the gadgets, the phones, etc. And now what happens is that when this is very, very important, because when you are working, your body is stressed in very, very awkward positions. Uh, I mean, for example, most of us, like if I pick up my mobile, we have this habit of, yeah, do we do this? And yeah, so things like this can cause a lot of challenge, and these are going to give you a lot of trouble. We do this, without thinking, but if we do it repeatedly, and if our work entails a lot of calling up, this can lead to all kinds of challenges, not necessarily starting with your neck. Okay, it can manifest in any part of our body. I will talk a little bit about it a little later. Okay, and I will of course talk a lot about posture. Now, ergonomics, before I talk more about posture, let me tell you that there are three dimensions of ergonomics. The first one is, of course, the physical one. That is what we are aware of. Okay. So this would be your space and, all around whatever equipment you're using and all of that. Uh, the other one is your cognitive. Yeah, that's another dimension, which is the cognitive one. So what happens is, what would it be? It would be the product, your system, the task, or even, the environment in which you're working. All that can is a part of the cognitive ergonomics, which we don't talk about, but it's a very important factor. And of course, you have the organizational ergonomics, which is, the structure of work, your workplace, and then, so we can actually address it in many different ways, like designating work times or improving interdepartmental, interactions and etc. etc. All these come under workplace or organizational ergonomics. So today we will focus only on the physical one because it is a vast topic. It's not even possible to cover physical ergonomics in such a short time. But I'm going to just give you some bullet points. Is it clear, or are we in sync? And anybody else from
Yeah,
I
absolutely clear.
yeah,
Absolutely
okay.
clear. We can hear you clearly. Yes.
All right, great.
Yeah.
So do use the chat box to post any questions. You can hold on to it and we'll address it certainly. So
Right.
now what happens? Let's start with posture. Why is posture important? And I don't know, but since I saw a lot of you driving, etc. So I don't know how interactive we can make it. But with the constraints, let's talk about this. What happens when you have muscle imbalance? Now, suppose you don't stand straight. Okay. Posture needs to be maintained while you're standing, while you're sitting, or even when you're sleeping. Yeah. Now, there are different ways of doing that. We won't go into the details of it today, but I just wanted to tell you that it's equally important to stand straight, sit straight, or sleep aligned neutrally. Okay. Now, by stand straight, I mean, like our parents used to say, okay, stand up straight, your spine should be aligned. I mean, there was a reason. If you slouch towards one end, one part of your body is getting, the muscles there are getting tightened. So, what happens when we don't stand straight or when our posture is bad? Have you seen people who lean to one side or who are slouching or who have, like, shoulders are like that, or they're drooping shoulders? Or if you ask anyone to stand, you'll find a lot of people, stand with their hip to one side. That's not because they are standing like that. It's because the body has aligned itself due to imbalance in your muscles. Yeah. So what happens with all of this is that one side of your body, the muscles become tight. The other side, the muscles are relaxed and therefore they turn weak. And with due to this imbalance, now with this imbalance, if you're sitting on an ergonomically aligned chair, it's not going to work. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is work on our posture. And if we have the correct posture and a person with the correct posture is sitting on that chair, that is when you'll be able to derive benefits. Yeah, that is the first thing I wanted to clarify, that, sometimes we say that, oh, I have this table and I have this chair and I've bought it with, I spent so much of money, but it's not working. I'm still getting my neck pain or I still have a back pain, etc., etc. That's because you have to first go back to the drawing board and you need to align your posture correctly. How do you do it? You'll have to come to people like us or someone who's trained and qualified to help you, and do some personal training and do some strength training to get you back in shape first. Yeah. Okay, that is the first thing. Now what happens when you don't have a good posture, which means, of course, your ergonomics is also going to be dysfunctional. So there'll be, let's say, headache. Anyone experiences, headache, eye strain. It could have, a low morale. It could be a lot of lethargy. It could manifest as a back pain, reduced productivity, and any kind of thing. Like suppose you can have fever, pain in your neck, your wrist, you can have pain in your elbow. Now, what happens when you have pain anywhere in your body? Do you feel stressed? I would think so, right? So you will feel stress, you will be upset, you'll be thinking about it. And as more and more stress builds up, guess what happens? We are led to various lifestyle conditions which are stress induced. So stress doesn't necessarily have to come from work or your surrounding or your situations. It can even happen due to bad posture. And especially in the working environment, and if you're working with computers, uh, it and a lot of time is spent sitting down, then this can happen very, very fast. Okay. So think about it. Can you even imagine, whole bunch of lifestyle conditions can be induced with bad posture, just a bad posture.